All right, what's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday, Pushing the Limits, Occupy Democrats Network, Washington Press Network, my personal YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. We just passed 110,000 subs on there. Thanks to all of you, and we have a very busy show lined up for you. A lot to talk about today, including the fact that Donald Trump is claiming that he's taking money away from food stamps, but in the long run, it's going to save everybody money on food. We'll talk a little bit about that. It appears as though the Trump administration might be lying a little bit about this supposed deal they made with China. We will certainly be getting into that as well. And boy, testimony from a lot of different people in Washington, D.C. today that we are going to dissect, including Marco Rubio and the puppy killer. Yes, that's right. She was testifying as well. A lot to get to there. So there's plenty of ground to cover today, and we have a lot of audio to play for you. So let's get right into it. So I talked a little bit about this story earlier in the week, and of course last week, where you have people on social. We started with James Comey, 86-47. We had a lot of people saying that on the right when Joe Biden was president, even people that were in elected office. But yet, nobody really called that out on the right, did they? Well, there are some people that are left-leaning podcasters, and some of whom are being harassed and attempted to be, at least in my honest opinion, intimidated by the Trump administration. One of those people is a guy we're going to have on the show right now. He is Ed Krassenstein, of course, from the Krassencast, and he had a visit from the Secret Service for just simply tweeting something like that out. It is absolutely insane, and it's ridiculous. Ed, it's good to see you, my friend. I appreciate you coming back on. How are you?
Yeah, good to be back on here again. I'm great. How are you, Brian?
Doing okay, Ed. I'm sorry to hear what you had to go through here, but I just want to go through this a little bit. So, you know, James Comey with the whole picture on the beach thing, and then it created a whole firestorm, which it shouldn't have. And then you would just simply put a tweet out, right? Let's start there. You put a tweet out saying 86-47, correct?
Yeah. So after Comey posted his, I followed up with one of my own. It was actually a thread, and in the thread, I specifically said, just so you know, this is not a call for violence in any way. It's a call to remove Trump from office.
Right. And I hear this saying all the time. You know, you're getting 86th. You're 86th from a casino if you're a card counter, or, you know, you're 86th from this place. It's not even a crime. I don't even understand where that came from. So you tweet that out and then tell me what happens next. Was this the next day where the Secret Service visited you, or was it a few days later?
Yeah. So I mean, I saw Donald Trump Jr. trying to redefine the term. And then I'm like, I see Kristi Noem and other people within the administration saying James Comey needs to be investigated. I'm like, oh crap! I'm probably going to get raided by the Secret Service or something tomorrow. I told my wife that. I'm like, I bet if the Secret Service comes, don't worry about it. But it might happen. I just want to forewarn you. And so I told her that I didn't want to delete my post because I feel like they were using that as intimidation of sorts. So the following day, later in the day, like mid-afternoon, I get a call. They're at my gate. This is Secret Service. We're at your gate. Can you let us in? And my first thought is like, this is a prank. This is a joke. Somebody's just pranking me here. If it was Secret Service, they could get in my gate. I mean, the mailman, UPS, and police and ambulances get in all the time. So I'm like, if this is Secret Service, they can get in. This is definitely a prank. So I asked my wife, did you just see Secret Service when you came in? She's like, no, I didn't see anyone. So I go outside. Our house is like pretty close to the gate. So I go outside and I see this rickety old car at the gate. I'm like, crap, is this like somebody here to hurt me or something? Mm. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna walk out and see what it is. And I get to the car and the sheriff gets out. He's like, Sheriff so-and-so with Lee County. I'm here with Secret Service agent so-and-so. I'm like, okay, come on in. And, you know, they came over, I invited them in, and I'm like, you know, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And the agent's like, I know, Washington's just making us do this.
When he says Washington is making us do this, is it directly somebody you think like a Pam Bondi? Is it a Kash Patel? Is it through Donald Trump? What are your opinions on that? Or maybe all of the above?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could have just been the Washington office, but after seeing Bondi posting about it, after seeing Patel posting and Noem posting about it, obviously the administration was pushing to have people who are posting this investigated.
So
So,
they, yeah.
so I mean, it's either they specifically reached out to the Secret Service, or the Secret Service is like, crap, they're all calling for an investigation. We better investigate this. So, I mean, who knows?
How long did this questioning last for in your home?
I'd say about 20 minutes.
Okay, so that's a fairly long. I mean, that's not that quick. And they're
No,
just
yeah.
asking you what the basic questions like: is this a threat? Do you plan on hurting Donald Trump? I mean, obviously, probably ridiculous questions that they have to ask like that. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, in so many words, I guess. I mean, the agent was like, obviously, your intentions aren't to hurt Donald Trump, but I have to do this. You know, I have to fill this out. I can do it. I can go door to door and ask neighbors and friends and people who are associated with you, or you can just answer the questions for me, and we'll be out of here in 15 to 20 minutes. So, you know, he asked me questions like, do you own any weapons? Do you have martial arts training? Just questions about my family and questions about where I came from. And yeah, I mean, I cooperated. I had to sign the document saying they could look into my mental health, like see if I have any mental health problems, which I don't. So yeah, I mean,
And
it
I
was a
think,
little intrusive, I guess, in that way.
yeah, absolutely, Ed. And I'm sorry you had to even go through that, but I'm thinking to myself the wasted resources, right? Because we hear all from MAGA Republicans about Doge and wasted resources and wasted money and wasted this and wasted that. Think about the wasted time and efforts that they're taking upon themselves in doing just something like this with you. Just a complete and total waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, that's an agent you're paying to be doing this instead of, looking into a real possible threat into the president or a real possible threat into America. So it is a waste. And I think to me, it's intimidation, right? So if they start showing, they go after big influencers, right? They go after James Comey. They set this example. Oh, if you call for the impeachment or removal of Trump, we might investigate you. And that's what bothers me, because 86 was never anything threatening in my mind. And I don't think it is in 99.999% of the people out there's mind. Nobody talks about 86 in that way. If you go to protests, you see 8646, 8647 bumper stickers all the time, driving on cars, T-shirts. I mean, Jack Posobiec literally posted 8646 3 years ago, meaning remove Biden. And then now he's claiming that 8647 means to assassinate Trump. So he's the guy who should be investigated, right? Because he's associating 86 with assassination, and
Yeah.
he said 8646 Biden. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost comical if it wasn't so serious.
Yeah, Posobiec is a complete clown. Don't even get me started, Ed, with him. I had to debate him on the Piers Morgan show last week, and he's just a complete imbecile. But yeah, you mentioned him and Matt Gaetz and others that said very similar things, and you eloquently pointed that out on social media. I mean, did you ask them that? Why weren't they investigated? If this is serious enough to come to my place and question me for 20 minutes, why didn't you guys investigate these
Yeah.
people? Now, obviously, we know the answer to that, but did you ask them that?
I pulled out tweets from Matt Gaetz, and I said, you know Matt Gaetz? And he's like, yeah, I've heard of him. I'm like, he literally posted he just 86 3 members of Congress. And was he investigated? And they're like, we just have to do this. Washington sent us.
Just absolutely embarrassing. Okay, so 20 minutes go by. What, you shake their hands and they leave, and do they say anything else to you, like you probably won't hear from us, or like do they say
Yeah,
anything else?
I asked. I said, is that it? Am I going to hear from you again? And he said, no, that's everything. We're good.
So they just had to do it because they were told by higher ups in Washington, D.C., those that are around the Trump administration or work in the Trump administration. Yep, we did it. And obviously would you characterize this, as I did, as just intimidation? That's really all this was.
Yeah, I mean, I hold nothing against the agents that came to my house, right? Because they're just doing their job. But which I feel like it's not if, but it is, they did, somebody from Washington reached out, and if it's somebody from the Trump administration, it's absolutely intimidation. And that's what bothers me. It's like for years we heard MAGA claim that the Biden administration going to Twitter and telling them, oh, look, this is misinformation about COVID, is intimidation, trying to get rid of free speech, right? Eliminate free speech by intimidating Twitter into deleting posts. How's this any different? I mean, it's just crazy to me.
Completely crazy. And, speaking of the DOJ, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this because Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, in an interview, both said that they believe that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. I wanted to ask you about this because for years we've heard from the right since he died that this was, not suicide, that this was deep state stuff, right? That the list was coming. And we know the Epstein files were never released. What they did release was nothing new. I'm wondering what you make of that. Speaking of the DOJ, these are, Kash Patel and Bongino saying, oh, yeah, nothing to see here. He killed himself. And I know his brother has made some statements, Epstein's brother. What do you make of this?
Yeah, well, I mean, for years, like you said, MAGA has been pushing the idea that he didn't kill himself. So I think now they're in the position where if they say he didn't kill himself, there's going to be congressional testimony, and they're going to have to answer what's the evidence that shows that they didn't kill themselves, and they don't have it. So,
yeah, I mean, Pam Bondi, this is what to expect, I guess. I mean, is this something that we should expect? I talked to David Pakman about this as well, that people like us, people like you, especially with huge platforms, are going to be harassed and intimidated. And maybe the Trump administration will continue to do that over the course of the next 3.5 years. Does that bother you? And do you worry about that?
It bothers me. I don't worry about it like from my own personal perspective, but I worry about it, preventing people from speaking out, because I think that's a huge, especially on social media. I mean, elections are won because of social media. Elections are lost because of social media. So Trump knows if he can influence some of the larger influencers on X, on TikTok, on Instagram, he can kind of quell or squash some of the anti-Trumpism out there, which, it's not good for America when you do stuff like that.
I wanted to ask you quickly about the supposed deal that Donald Trump made with China, because you had tweeted something out, and I found it to be interesting because, the Trump administration claiming victory. We have this great deal now with China. China caved. But on the outside looking in, Ed, it doesn't really appear that way. And it seems as though the Trump administration is once again lying to us.
Yeah, I mean, what did America get? Right? It's Trump puts these crazy tariffs on and then claims victory so he can lower them because he realizes it's going to screw up the economy. But we didn't actually get anything. I mean, it's just all for facade to make him look strong and to, I don't even know. Like it was obvious what was going to happen with China.
Yeah, no question about that. I agree with you. Well, there we go, everybody. Ed Krassenstein, a really dangerous human being that the Secret Service has to come to his house and question him. Just absolutely ridiculous, Ed. I'm glad that everything's cool and you got through that okay. Certainly intrusive, but I'm glad you cooperated, and welcome to the Trump administration in 2025, my friend. But I do appreciate you coming on. Love your podcast. Love what you and your brother do, and always appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. There you go. Thanks, Ed. That's Ed Krassenstein, everybody, from the Krassencast. Good dude, really good at what he does. He and his brother are fantastic. Just think about this for a second, right? Think about this for a second. He tweets out 8647, and the next day the Secret Service is at his door. Think about the wasted resources. Listen, I want people to investigate dangerous people. Obviously, if somebody put out a real threat towards the president, no matter who it is, or a politician, or anybody, I want them to be investigated. Is there any reasonable person that thinks someone who tweets out 8647 is a threat to Donald Trump? No, of course not, including Donald Trump and anybody in his administration. They're doing this to intimidate. That's the only reason why they're doing it. It's absolutely and totally absurd. And I appreciate Ed for coming on. And I'm sorry that he had to go through that, he and his wife. They're really good people, and they didn't deserve that. So Donald Trump did speak earlier in the day today. And as you know, they're cutting back on some pretty important things, food stamps, possibly Medicaid, it appears as though, and many other important government programs that many Americans rely on to survive, food stamps being one of them. So a reporter asked Donald Trump today about how you can possibly justify cutting food stamps. And listen to this exchange because it is so absurd.
You campaign on lowering the price of groceries. How do you justify cutting food assistance in this bill?
Let me just tell you, the cut is going to give everybody much more food because prices are coming way down. Groceries are down. Eggs. You told me about eggs. You asked me a question about eggs. My first week, you said eggs. I said, I just got here. Tell me about eggs. And it was going through the roof. You know that eggs now are way down. Everybody's buying eggs. Groceries down. Energy's down. Gasoline is now they're buying gasoline now for $1.99. If you look back, you'll see $3.50, $4. This country, we're going to lose this country. Our country now is respected all over the world. All over the world we're respected. We were a laughing stock.
Okay, so first of all, that's a lie. It's really mentally exhausting to have to correct him literally every word out of his mouth. Food prices are not coming down. In fact, they've been gradually going up, just as they have been for the last 18 months. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. But when he says the prices are going down, that's not true. Secondly, for him to make the statement that somebody that is unemployed or on minimum wage and can't put food on the table without government assistance, for him to cut that is so abundantly absurd and so ridiculous, it's unbelievable. It's insane and it's crazy. And it makes absolutely and positively no sense. So the average price of gas prices probably in the U.S. Is somewhere around $3.18 per gallon. Okay, that means it is up from $3.02 per gallon earlier in the year. So that means gas prices are up, if my math is correct, about 16 cents. Gas prices have not dropped since day one, since Donald Trump took office, and 1 year ago they were, down to $3.59, and then they went down, and now they're going back up. So the idea that Donald Trump is lowering gas prices since day one is absolutely and factually inaccurate. Same thing with food prices. Very weird interaction when Donald Trump again started talking about the new Pope and the Pope's brother, because normally you would make some statements about these figures. And if you want to say they're wonderful people, that's great. But Donald Trump says his brother is a wonderful person. Why? Have a listen to this.
You like to have the talks at the Vatican? I can't think of a better place. This is a pretty good place too, come to think. Do you like the American Pope? But I like him. Yeah, I like the Pope and I like the Pope's brother. You know, one of the Pope's brothers, actually both of them, but one in particular is a major MAGA fan. Did you know that? He lives in Florida. He's got MAGA, he's got Trump. And I look forward to getting him to the White House. I want to shake his hand. I want to give him a big hug. Thank you very much, everybody.
So when it comes to religious figures or prominent people, Donald Trump will invite somebody to the White House and shake their hand if he kisses their ass or if he's a huge fan. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Donald Trump administration. This is what we're talking about here. It's abundantly ridiculous and crazy. And there was a moment today where a reporter asked him, "Can you guarantee that the voters and the people who worked for you, who voted for you, working class people, will not lose their health insurance under this new bill that was put forward?" Now, this is something, and this is an audio clip that we are going to have to keep for the archives, because I guarantee you when that does happen, we're going to play this clip all over again. This is Donald Trump saying they won't lose their health insurance. Have a listen to this.
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
Can you guarantee that your voters who supported the election, particularly working class voters, will not lose health insurance under this bill?
Oh, they won't lose health insurance. Not only that, remember, I'm cutting drug prices by 85%. And right now, I'm saving it. I'm saving the whole thing because I did something that nobody was willing to do. Other countries pay a tiny fraction what we do. And I instituted favored nations. We're now going to pay the lowest in the world. We're going to be the equivalent of the lowest country in the world.
85%, he just said. Absolutely ridiculous. By the way, this new bill, $5 to $6 trillion added to spending over the course of the next 2 years. So any MAGA Republican that tells you they're conserving and they're saving money, that is abundantly a lie. It's not true. And you know you're in bad shape, and you know things aren't very good when Kevin O'Leary, who you couldn't find a more staunch Trump supporter, is blasting this new big, beautiful bill. That's right. Kevin O'Leary, who curls himself into a pretzel, who I don't think is a very nice person, and he makes excuses for Donald Trump every day on CNN. Kevin O'Leary completely demolishing Trump's new big, beautiful bill. Have a listen to this.
Now, we've got a situation in this new beautiful bill, and I don't think anybody reads these things. I read it. I read all these bills through the eyes of small business, and I found a section in there that looks like a cut and paste that says the IRS will get extended powers to audit small businesses for up to 9 years that took the ERC. Now, that is going to cause chaos in valuations. If you have that hanging over your head, it almost seems unfair and un-American to do that to small business. And I'm not sure everybody's aware of this provision in the bill. I'm heading down tonight to the Hill to get a gong and walk down the halls banging it, saying, what are you guys doing here? You can't do that to small business. Somebody should fix this in the big, beautiful bill, because it's not beautiful for small business. That's totally unfair, because if you're trying to do a deal or get financing or raise capital, and you know you've got that uncertainty for 9 years, that's going to cause chaos.
Well, look, we've had Kelly Loeffler on this program, the head of the small business, and she's talked all about supporting small business. Are you telling me that there's nothing in the bill that supports small business?
No, I'm telling you, Maria, there's a provision in here that hurts small business, and it really will be devastating to them. And I don't know how it got in there. It could have been a cut and paste from a previous bill. But whatever it is, somebody's got to raise the red flag, and I'm going to do it, because this is not good. You know, small business creates 62% of jobs. And every small business in my portfolio has called me and said, what the hell is this?
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I can't believe I am saying this, but I actually agree with Mr. Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary. I cannot believe it, but I am. Now, you couldn't find a more staunch Trump supporter, but I'm glad that he's finally understanding the fact, or I shouldn't say understanding, he's a smart guy. He's finally able to criticize Donald Trump for something. Yes, this big, beautiful bill is a big, beautiful piece of garbage that should be thrown down the toilet. That's really what this bill is. So switching topics here, the puppy killer herself, Kristi Noem, again, was testifying under oath in front of Congress today. And this is a moment that speaks volumes to why so many of these people in Donald Trump's administration are completely unqualified for the job. You want to talk about complete embarrassment. She doesn't even know what habeas corpus is. This is an unbelievable interaction that the head of the Department of Homeland Security doesn't know what habeas corpus is. I'm not making this up. Have a listen.
So, Secretary Noem, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right
let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President
habeas
Lincoln
corpus,
used it.
Excuse me. Habeas corpus is the legal principle that requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people. If not for that protection, the government could simply arrest people, including American citizens, and hold them indefinitely for no reason. Habeas corpus is the foundational right that separates free societies like America from police states like North Korea. As a senator from the live free or die state, this matters a lot to me and my constituents and to all Americans. So, Secretary Noem, do you support the core protection that habeas corpus provides, that the government must provide a public reason in order to detain and imprison someone?
Yeah, I support habeas corpus. I also recognize that the president of the United States has the authority under the Constitution to decide if it should be suspended or not.
It has never
Let us be clear, though,
it has never been done. It has never been done without approval of Congress. Even Abraham Lincoln got retroactive approval from Congress.
I want you guys to think about this for a minute. This is the head of the Department of Homeland Security, and she doesn't know what habeas corpus is, clearly by her answer. This is the pillar of the Constitution. And the White House policy director has said publicly that they may suspend it, and the DHS will have to enforce that. If this isn't troubling to you, I don't know what is. Again, another member of the Donald Trump administration that is completely unqualified for the job. A sixth grader would have more knowledge of what habeas corpus is, clearly, than what Kristi Noem has. This is embarrassing and it's pathetic. And we should all be able to call it out. Speaking of calling things out, I talked a little bit about this yesterday, about the fact that Joe Biden has cancer that has reached the bone, It's a very serious circumstance, and there's a lot of people on the far right that are conspiracy theorists that play doctors on TV and think they're cancer experts. Ed Martin is one of them. And he did an interview on a right-wing network, and he was asked about the cancer, and then he turned and pivoted to January 6th and people that were prosecuted for horrible crimes that they committed on January 6th. I cannot make this stuff up. Have a listen to what Ed Martin said when he was asked about Joe Biden's cancer.
There's a lot of questions that have to be asked. And, I'm sorry about cancer diagnosis and all that, but I have to tell you, as an attorney, as someone who's seen this, there were people in jail during January 6th. There were people that were being persecuted in the Russia hoax, whose lives were turned upside down. The truth deserves to be known, and people that did this deserve to be held accountable. And that's what we have to do. And on weaponization means you hide from people the true reason you're doing it. We're not hiding. Joe Biden is not a target because of who he was. It's the conduct. And that's what Donald Trump told us and Pam Bondi told us in the weaponization group. And we're being transparent about why we're moving ahead. I think the American people deserve it.
The American people do not deserve you. I'll tell you that. Despicable, disgusting. I'm sorry about the cancer diagnosis and all of that, but there were people in jail during January 6th. I mean, can you find a more despicable response than that? Oh, no, maybe I can, because I'm going to give you some more. Roger Marshall, another guy who did an interview on Fox News. Have a listen to what he had to say when he was asked about Joe Biden's cancer.
But the big issue here to me is what about 6 months from now, when let's just assume that Joe Biden will be completely mentally incapacitated in 6 months. Now they're going to go back and say, oh, these are metastases from the prostate cancer that caused this, not the Alzheimer's that we've been seeing, or the Parkinson's, whichever it is, if not both of them, that's been affecting his mental capacity now for several years. And they'll continue to lie. The legacy media is complicit in all this. The White House, his White House surrounding him is complicit in this. Look, they've lied to us about Russia. They lied to us about the Hunter Biden laptop. They lied to us about all things COVID. And now they're one more cover up. Joe Biden's been out of office now for what? Not even 6 months, a year. And there's one more cover up here. The great cover up is upon us. So coincidental. Right after her testimony comes out, that recording, which was way worse than I would have thought it would have been. Joe Biden had tangential thought processes going on there, a classic sign of Alzheimer's disease. As we know it, he couldn't complete sentences. Really, he didn't have any memory recollection beyond 2015 if you listen to that tape.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I just want to point out that this is not politics. We all wish Joe Biden well. We're all praying for his recovery. But these are national security issues. The fact that they would hide such important information from the American people, what does that say about how much they care about America and American citizens, and about our adversaries undermining us at every turn?
Yeah, is there any doubt why Putin was not afraid to invade Ukraine? Is there any doubt why President Xi in China was going to walk all over us on trade agreements? All this points to we had a very weak leader. And again, who was running the country? And you've said this on your show so many times. Who was running the country? Who was signing those executive orders? Who was signing the bills into law? On all the people that he pardoned, did you really know the story of who they were pardoning? But it was not the person that America elected.
Absolutely ridiculous. First of all, Russia was not a hoax. The FBI and the CIA proved that there was interference on social media in the election. Did it change the outcome? I would say probably not. The Mueller report showed multiple examples of obstruction. Mueller didn't feel like it rose to the level of a charge being filed. They say they lied about COVID. What is he talking about? What are they talking about when they say lied? These are the same people that say Donald Trump won the 2020 election. These are the same people that support and voted for Donald Trump, and they want to talk about lies from the left. And then Bartiromo, they call this a news network, and the anchor of this news network claims that this was a hoax and it was a cover-up. when it comes to Joe Biden's cancer with literally no evidence. This is what Fox News does every day. They say things that are completely not true, and they have no evidence to back up their claims. No one has showed any evidence that this was any sort of cover-up with his cancer. And the fact that that's the first thing that they think about, and they don't say, geez, I hope he's well, he and his family, makes them all despicable douchebag liars. All of them. They all are liars. They all are despicable people. They're horrible people. When your first reaction when you hear someone could be dying of cancer is, oh, well, this is a cover-up. They knew about this. What was his mental capacity? It makes you a scumbag. And our vice president is a piece of human crap. That's what he is. J.D. Vance is a piece of human garbage, is what he is. I want you to listen. The first public comment that J.D. Vance made, the first public statement that the vice president of the United States made when he was asked about Joe Biden's cancer to get his reaction. Listen to what this complete piece of human scum had to say.
Look, I mean, first of all, of course, we wish the best for the former president's health. And, it sounds pretty serious, but hopefully he makes the right recovery. Like, I will say, whether the right time to have this conversation is now or at some point in the future, we really do need to be honest about whether the former president was capable of doing the job. And that's no, that you can separate the desire for him to have the right health outcome with the recognition that whether it was doctors or whether there were staffers around the former president, I don't think he was able to do a good job for the American people. And that's not politics. That's not because I disagreed with him on policy. That's because I don't think that he was in good enough health. In some ways, I blame him less than I blame the people around him. And why didn't the American people have a better sense of his health picture? Why didn't the American people have more accurate information about what he was actually dealing with? This is serious stuff.
Yeah, there you go. J.D. Vance, who has no medical experience at all. J.D. Vance, who has zero medical credentials, is, again, another conspiracy. They're eating your cats. They're eating your dogs. Same stuff here. No evidence to prove this. None. Zero. But he says for maybe 3 seconds, well, we wish him well, and then he goes into the conspiracy theories because J.D. Vance is a human piece of garbage. Because only a human piece of garbage would work for somebody that they believe could be the next American Adolf Hitler. It's just absurd. By the way, J.D. Vance thinks that Donald Trump's mental acuity is perfect. The guy 6 months ago who said we need ID to buy bread. The guy who said Jeb Bush got us into the war in Iraq. The guy who said he defeated Barack Obama in the election. But you'll never hear J.D. Vance talk about that because he'll curl himself into a pretzel because he cares about himself and remaining in power and his aspirations of one day becoming the president of the United States, which I hope doesn't happen. Throw away all your couches. Keep them away from J.D. Vance. It's a joke. Jeffrey Epstein is to kids as to what J.D. Vance is to couches. And then there comes to Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So Donald Trump said that it was stage 9 cancer. I mean, I'm laughing at this because he's such an idiot and he has no idea what he's talking about. But here's another soundbite from yesterday where Donald Trump was asked about Joe Biden's cancer.
And now you find out what happened because Biden, look, it's a very sad thing what happened, but I really we're going to start looking into this whole thing with who signed this legislation. Who signed legislation opening our border? I don't think he knew. I said there's nobody that would want an open border. Nobody. And now I find out that it wasn't him. He auto-penned it. Who was operating the auto-pen? This is a very serious thing. We had a president that didn't sign anything. He auto-penned almost everything. He opened the borders of the United States of America. And I kept saying, who would do such a thing? Allowing criminals to pour in from all over the world, not just South America, all over the world. They came in from Africa, they came in from Asia, they came from the Congo. The prisons in the Congo in Africa, these are rough people. The prisons from the Congo are empty. You know where they are? They're in this country. Who would sign this? Nobody would sign it. No sane person would.
Yeah, no sane person. So, again, Donald Trump is asked about Joe Biden's cancer, and he starts talking about an auto pen, again, with no evidence to prove anything that these imbeciles on the far right say, whether it be a J.D. Vance, whether it be a Donald Trump, whether it be an Ed Martin, any of these people. They have zero credibility. They do this every single day. They come up with conspiracy theories. They just say things and they throw it at a wall and they hope it sticks. And if you're on Fox News, they don't question you on it with no evidence to back up literally any of the statements that they make. It's despicable. It's disgusting. I have my issues with Joe Biden. I talked a little bit about that yesterday, but that is completely academic to when somebody has cancer and they're diagnosed with cancer. Because a first reaction and a normal reaction is not to criticize him on policy or to go into your conspiracy theories. It's to say, I wish him and his family well. I hope he makes a full recovery and move on. And then in a month from now, if you want to criticize Joe Biden with your conspiracy theories, fine. But to do it hours after the announcement was made makes you a despicable turd. So here's what I want to do. I do want to take a break, and when I come back, we are going to be taking some phone calls at 702-221-7283. I'll also be going into the YouTube Super Chat where your questions and comments can be heard. Also, of course, my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. Again, that website is pushingthelimits.live, where you can make monthly donations on there as well. We sell merchandise, shirts, hats, beanies, you name it, we sell it. When we come back, we'll take your phone calls at 702-221-7283, 702-221-7283. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. I want to get your thoughts on 8647. Oh my gosh, I just said it. Is the Secret Service going to be knocking on our doors here? I don't know. I just said it, 8647. I want to get your thoughts on that. I mean, we had Ed Krassenstein on this show earlier today from the Krassenstein brothers from the Krassencast. Ed just tweeted out 8647, and then the Secret Service were at his doorstep the following day, and they questioned him for 20 minutes. He told the story earlier on. What do you make of that? I mean, is this the country that you want to live in? So we're certainly talking about that. We're talking about even somebody like Kevin Leary criticizing Joe Biden about this big, beautiful bill. We want to talk about that. And the fact that Kristi Noem, the puppy murderer, doesn't even know what habeas corpus is. She doesn't even know what the true definition of it is, embarrassing herself. And all these MAGA turds with their conspiracy theories about Joe Biden. So we certainly have a lot to talk about in this show, and I'm sure you guys need to get a lot off of your chest as well. MAGA callers are welcome, 8647 MAGA callers. You're welcome to call in as well. Again, that number, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you could be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercials, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Clear Sky Resorts invites you to experience the future of luxury glamping at their newest resort, opening August 1st, 2024 near Bryce Canyon. Guests at the first and only glass-domed stargazing resort in the U.S. will be immersed in the stunning scenery of the resort's private 80-acre canyon, both indoors and out. And nights in your Sky Dome will be like sleeping in an aquarium of stars. Located in Cannonville, Utah, on scenic Byway 12, voted one of the most scenic roads in America. The resort will feature lots of fun on-resort activities, as well as one of the world's largest glass-domed restaurants. To book your reservation, please call 1-888-704-4445 or visit clearskyresorts.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We just had Ed Krassenstein on from the Krassenstein Brothers, great podcast. He was visited by the Secret Service for saying 8647. Absolutely absurd and ridiculous. We are also in the YouTube Super Chat, where your questions and comments will be heard with a donation. Of course, as I mentioned, the website, pushingthelimits.live. The official gaming bar, by the way, of the Pushing the Limits radio show is Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, home of the $20 ribeye steak. They haven't upped the price in over 8 years. Comes with a side and vegetables. Check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Finkel, thank you for your donation. Says, after the Comey thing, I went to the White House with 8647 on my shirt and walked up to each manned checkpoint. Nothing, no reaction. Well, Finkel, the only thing that I could think of is, you know, you have to have a huge platform for the Trump administration to be a little bit afraid of you, I guess. And that's what they're doing. They're going after people with huge platforms. Let me be very clear on this. 8647 is not a threat. You can be 86th from a casino. You could be 86th from a gas station, a radio station. You could be 86th from my radio show. I have some people that aren't allowed to call in anymore. 86th. That's not a threat of violence. It's not a threat of anything. It's just you're 86th. You're not allowed to be a part of the show anymore. Or if you're in a casino, you're not allowed to be in there anymore. That's all. There's no threat there. And there are plenty of MAGA Republicans that have said 86 before when it came to Joe Biden, and nothing seemed to happen there. I didn't even hear Democrats complaining about that. So we're talking a little bit about that. Obviously, we're talking about this big, beautiful bill that even somebody like Kevin O'Leary is way against. We're talking about that and much, much more. And the fact that Joe Biden has cancer, and it seems very serious. And there are a plethora of MAGA Republicans out there that are not only showing no sympathy, but they're calling it a conspiracy theory, saying that they knew about this when they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. There's no evidence to prove that. And they're just buffoons. I don't even really know what else to say. So the number to call, 702-221-7283. Why don't we start off with Bobby? Bobby is first up on PTL. Hello, Bobby.
Hey, is that you, Mr. Shapiro?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay, listen, you were just talking about 8647.
Yeah.
During his rallies, there was people walking around with T-shirts that says 8646. So what is that about? You can Google that.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. There were people that were.
So
yeah, I
big
agree.
deal? Like they'll call me in there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
I agree with you. That's my point. It's a double standard.
I gave you producer my phone number, which I really don't do that because but there's a lot of things that I would like to speak to you about. Things that probably you weren't. I'm 82, so I've been keeping up with politics in this country. We've been way back from Nixon and Reagan.
Right.
So there's things that I saw myself. Nobody told me. I didn't hear it. I saw it with my own eyes.
I hear you.
So we're speaking on TV.
Well, I think the biggest there's a lot of issues I have, and thank you for the call, sir. And God bless you at 82 years old. You're gonna get to 100 at least. It sounds like to me, smart guy. But I would say that you're right. And I talked about this, 8646. Jack Posobiec said it. Matt Gaetz said it. There are plenty of Republicans that said that. And listen, I didn't really care. I didn't see it as a threat. They're just imbeciles, right? When I hear somebody say 8647, they want him out of office. That's not a threat. Eileen on the YouTube Super Chat says syphilis can be terminal. How come the Republicans aren't saying but? Yeah, that's actually kind of funny, Eileen, and also very, very true. The 8647 stuff is a joke. And many of these MAGA Republicans are simply just trying to intimidate. That is exactly what they are doing. They're just trying to intimidate, ladies and gentlemen. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-SAVE is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, if you're a MAGA supporter or otherwise. We have one phone line open. Let's go to George. George is next up on PTL. Hey, George, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. So I came across your show recently, and I see like how hot-headed you can get, especially with supporters. But I'm just wondering, why can't you give Trump the benefit of the doubt?
Okay, so hold on. Let's stop there. Let's have a conversation. I'll be very calm for you, sir. So first of all, it's called passion. I'm a very passionate person in my personal life and my public life. And if you don't like passion and you want to watch or listen to somebody that is monotone, that is boring, then you have the opportunity to do that, sir. I find that very strange that you called in and you say, why are you so hot-headed? But I'll answer your question by saying there's a lot of people that voted for Donald Trump that are very ill-informed and that are very stupid. And let's prove me wrong in this conversation. What would you like me to give Donald Trump credit for? Should I give him credit for ending the war in 24 hours? Let's start there. Donald Trump said the war would be over in 24 hours. Even before he got into office, he would pick up the phone. Should we give him credit for that, sir? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, thank you. Should we give Donald Trump credit for lowering the price of gas? He said he would do it on day one. Should we give Donald Trump credit for that?
No.
No, thank you. Okay, thank you. Should we give Donald Trump credit for saying he was going to build a wall and Mexico was going to pay for it?
Well,
yes or no?
Come on, Ika. The borders were so safe.
Listen,
don't get
safe again, sir. Don't get hot-headed with me. Okay, calm down. It's a yes or no question. Should we give Donald Trump credit for saying he would build a wall and Mexico was going to pay for it? Don't skim around the answer. You did a great job. The first two questions, you gave me the answer. Should we give him credit for saying he was going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it? And please don't be hot-headed when you answer my question.
No.
Thank you. I appreciate your honesty, sir. Thank you. We're having a very good, productive conversation here. When Donald Trump said that he was going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton, should we give him credit for that? Did he do that, sir?
I forgot that was even a thing.
Yeah, well,
so,
you forgot.
No.
Well, okay. I'm not going to say like all the right wingers say about Joe Biden that you have Alzheimer's, but yes, sir, I'll be respectful to you. He did do that. So Donald Trump did say he was going to do those things. In fact, he ran on those things. So why should I give him credit? What would you like me to? I'll give you the opportunity now, sir, since you're answering my questions, which I do appreciate. What do you think I should give him credit for?
Not as much credit as a benefit of the doubt, because that he's doing so many things that they attacked him.
What is he doing?
About
what is he doing?
Before.
What is he doing?
Particularly the economy, tariffs.
The economy.
Doge.
Okay, let's talk about that. Doge. Let's go one by one. The economy. What is the GDP growth since Donald Trump was day one in office? Have we grown the economy since he's been in there? The answer
no,
is no.
It's shrunk.
The answer is no. Okay, so I'm not going to give him credit for tanking the economy, and I'm not going to give him credit for tariffs, but because it's also the American consumers are suffering for it. But that's okay. Let's talk about tariffs. They said 90 deals in 90 days. Since you want me to give him the, quote, benefit of the doubt, how many deals has he made since he's been in office? They said 90 deals in 90 days. How many deals have been made?
He made, as far as I know, 3. One with Vietnam, the United Kingdom, and...
No.
No.
So I would argue that with you, but even if that was true, he said 90 deals in 90 days. Should we give him the benefit of the doubt? Was he telling the truth?
Well, no,
okay,
on
thank
there.
you.
But
I appreciate.
But can I go about what I mean by benefit of the doubt overall? Because there was actually they right before you actually had him, and you had Elon Musk saying that they actually admitted early on that, yes, there was going to be temporary hardship, but what would come after would be so much better.
Let's talk about
that.
that.
This is the wealthiest man on earth.
No, it's not.
This is Donald Trump, one who's actually gone through.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
So many hardships, bankruptcies, so many losses, and then one.
Let's talk about Elon Musk. Let's talk about that. So they said they found all this fraud. Help me with this, sir, if you may. Is fraud a crime in the United States of America?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for answering that. How many people have they indicted or arrested? Where's the fraud? Have they sent any recommendations to the DOJ? Can you tell me, has there been one arrest?
No, but what about the wall of receipts?
Okay. Hold on a second. You said what about, but I'll still answer your question. But I just want to be clear on this. It sounds like you're trying to compliment Doge because you said the economy. We just proved that the economy is not, headed in the right direction. It's not true. I've had brilliant economists on this show, most of whom say that we are headed for a recession. So I don't know why you'd brag about the economy. That doesn't make any sense to me. We talked about the lies and the things that he promised to do that he hasn't done. I give you credit for admitting that and being honest. I appreciate that. And now we're talking about Elon Musk because you seem to be praising the richest man in the world. And yet, in Doge, you mentioned Doge. That was the third thing, right, sir? And
right.
Fraud is a crime. They've claimed first they saved $2 trillion. Then it went down to $1 trillion. Then it went down to $140 billion. They can't even prove they saved $140 billion. They keep saying that they found all this fraud. Fraud is a crime. We both agree on that. But yet they haven't indicted one person for fraud. So how can you say that Doge has done a good job? And if you care, and I'm going to believe you, because you are answering my questions, which I appreciate, by the way. Most people don't. If you care about wasteful spending, then why wouldn't you be complaining about Donald Trump spending $25 million of our own money so that he could go to the Super Bowl and leave at halftime or go to a Daytona 500? Why wouldn't you complain about him giving Ashley Babbitt's family taxpayer dollars, $5 million for a terrorist, for a traitor, who went and stormed into the Capitol and lost her life because of her stupidity? If you truly care about that, why wouldn't you be with me and call it out? There is no massive fraud going on. They haven't indicted anybody. What is there to give him credit for? Why would I give somebody the benefit of the doubt when all they do is lie? The guy is the only guy in American history who won't admit that he lost an election as president. Why would I give somebody like that the benefit of the doubt who lied literally 30,000 times his first go around in office? Why would I give somebody the benefit of the doubt who's burned the Constitution up, who's not giving people due process? Why would I give somebody the benefit of the doubt who hasn't been honest and sincere and with one of the ladies that has ever been in his life? Why would I give somebody the benefit of the doubt like that who lies every day?
So first off, I mean, the due process thing is towards illegal immigrants.
Not true. What does it say in our Constitution? What does it say in our... You don't even know, do you, sir? I'm going to read.
But yeah, actually, 5 and 14. It says no person.
Right, and as a person, right?
We're in that gray area.
No. No, I'm not going to let you get away with that. That is not a gray area. They could have said legal or illegal. They could have said document or undocumented. They said person. Now, let me ask you a question. Is it a person that is being not given due process? Would you consider that a person? Yes or no? Is it a human being? Is it a person?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. In our Constitution, it says any person. So don't you give me this, with all due respect, this garbage about how, well, if you're illegal, you don't get due process. That is not the way our Constitution reads it, and that's not the way this country works. And by the way,
but we're fixing a crisis. It's a border crisis.
So you think fixing a crisis is giving people no due process, and a mother that is breastfeeding her 1-year-old child and separated? You think this is the process to send people to an El Salvador prison with no due process, some of whom have no criminal records? One man who's a hairstylist who has 2 tattoos on his body, and they said the tattoos are why we sent him over there. And you know what those 2 tattoos are? Mom and dad. You think that's how we handle a crisis? By giving people no due process and throwing people out of our country with 0 due process, many of whom that are non-violent criminals? You're okay with that, sir?
Well, the Department of Justice said that Abrego Garcia, the Department of Justice official website said he was a criminal.
Okay, so but where was that proven in a court of law? Where was that proven in a court of law?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry.
Nowhere.
Exactly. Thank you. Hence, right? Just because. No. Oh, you want to talk about the Supreme Court? I am so glad you mentioned that. Okay. By the way, none of those people got due process. Who cares what somebody says on a website? The Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that Donald Trump needs to help, quote, facilitate the return of Mr. Garcia. Since you care so much about the Supreme Court, since you just brought it up, are you okay with the President of the United States defying the Supreme Court? Yes or no?
I care about winning.
No. Don't deflect. Don't deflect. No. The question wasn't whether you think Trump is winning. I need you to focus. Don't deflect. You're the one who just brought up the Supreme Court. I'm going to ask you the same question again. I don't care whether you defy Donald Trump as winning or not. That wasn't my question. I need you to pay attention, sir. I'm not being hot-headed. I'm being as calm as I can, but I start to get agitated when people don't answer my questions. We were off to a really good start. Please, let's not go south. You brought up the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that Donald Trump and his administration must facilitate the return of Mr. Garcia. Are you okay with the President of the United States defying the Supreme Court, yes or no?
Yes.
Did you just say yes?
Yes.
So the president is above the law. The president can do no.
They've already have with immunity.
No. You're wrong. The immunity does not apply to a court ruling. You're not allowed to defy court orders. You're not allowed to defy judges, and you're not allowed to defy the Supreme Court. So you're wrong. You don't even understand what the immunity applies to. So you're okay. What you just said is so amazing to me because I guess that's your definition of winning. You're okay with the President of the United States, no matter who it is. It doesn't matter what a judge rules. It doesn't matter what the Supreme Court rules. You're okay with the President of the United States ripping up our Constitution, not giving people due process when the Constitution clearly says every person will get due process. You're okay with the president doing whatever the hell he wants to do. You think that's winning, defying every court, and you're okay with whatever the Supreme Court rules on. You're okay that the president defies that. That's what you're saying, right, sir?
Hey,
sir,
sounds bad, but
sir, no, it doesn't just sound bad. You sound ridiculous, and I'm trying to be as respectful as I can to you. You have openly admitted to me that you think Donald Trump is winning. Somehow the country is winning when we have all these people in this country that are not getting due process. We have so many people in this country that have lost their jobs. There are people that are getting intimidated by the Secret Service for saying 8647. You guys are the ones that talk about the Constitution. You guys are the ones that talk about free speech. He is the one who is infringing on our rights. And yet you come to this show and I'm shocked what you just said, that you can't even admit that maybe the President of the United States, maybe defying a Supreme Court order, and maybe that might be inappropriate and wrong. You are defying everything basically that it says about this country, our Constitution, how it was founded. And you seem to be totally okay with that because you have some sort of fetish for the orange man. Like, let me ask you another question, sir, before I let you go. And by the way, I do appreciate you having this conversation with me. I do appreciate you answering my questions because I do think for the most part you did, even though I disagree with you. And that's why I'm trying to be respectful to you. Let's talk a little bit about his behavior. Do you have a family, sir? If you don't mind me asking, I'm not trying. There's a reason why I'm asking. Do you have kids?
No kids.
Okay, fair enough. You have are you an uncle? Do you have kids in your family?
Uncle. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so you're an uncle. I appreciate that. So, what would you say about somebody that you call great or winning, who openly admitted to going into teenage girls' locker rooms without their permission because he owned the pageant? And several of those women have come forward since. And Donald Trump admitted to doing that in a sexual manner on the Howard Stern show. You're an uncle. And that's why I'm asking you this question. Are you comfortable with that behavior?
Well,
sir,
but
it's a yes or no.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're comfortable. Okay. So let me get this straight. You're an uncle. How old is you have a niece or a nephew?
Nephews between 18 and 13 and 18.
Okay, so hypothetically speaking, let's just say your nephews, male or female, it doesn't really matter, but let's just go with female here. Do you have a niece, or are they only nephews?
Only nephews, but young people in my family.
Okay,
yes.
Young people. Let's pretend that one of those people is a 13-year-old girl, because you said you're an uncle. What if a man in his 60s that owned a teenage pageant walked into a dressing room when your niece was undressing and naked without permission? Would you be okay with that?
No.
Okay, so then why would you say yes just because it's not your niece, sir? Now I'm starting to get frustrated, okay? I'm going to try to be calm with you. You just said you wouldn't be okay if you had a 13-year-old niece and a middle-aged 60-year-old dude walked in there without permission. Then why is it okay for him to do it if it's not a member of your family? He openly admitted it on the Howard Stern show, that he went into teenage locker rooms from the beauty pageants that he ran without permission. They were naked, many of them. They were changing. Why is it only if it affects you personally? Why don't you start thinking about other people? So I'm going to ask you the question again. I'm going to give you a chance to retract. Are you okay with the man who you call great, who you claim is winning, personally going into teenage locker rooms, bragging about it on the Howard Stern show in a sexual manner? Are you okay with him doing that without permission? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Why did you say yes?
Because I thought it in terms of like, celebrities and music artists that have girls surrounding them and they can like push the limits, and that's what I thought that Trump was
so
like.
you're wrong about that. Okay, fine. I appreciate the fact that you changed your answer, and thankfully you did. I still don't understand your Supreme Court answer. Let's go with this a little bit further. Are you comfortable with a man who has 25 women that have accused him of abuse, who is a liable abuser, who had to pay a woman off, and his own ex-wife claimed, I'll use the term grape because I am on other social medias where you can't use that word, had to pay her off. Under oath, she said that he raped her. Are you comfortable with that behavior of a man who had unprotected sex with a porn star when Melania was giving birth to Barron? Are you okay with that?
One question at a time. Of the women that came forward, it's that, so many women in my circle, in my family,
Here we go.
They all think that these are just dumb women looking for attention.
They're just so
that's
this
is the women listening.
Okay,
this,
so first of all, let me just stop you there. For you to characterize, including his ex-wife, by the way, so you're saying that he married a dumb woman who testified under oath. Clearly, you're not familiar with that case, Ivanka Trump, who recently passed away a few years ago. So Ivanka Trump, E. Jean Carroll, and the 25 other women, because some people in your family made it. By the way, I don't care what members of your family say. I'm talking to you. You're saying that, quote, they're all dumb. Would you say all the women in the Bill Cosby case were dumb as well?
Not all.
Not all.
But
okay.
who knows if they were? I mean, but we'll think about this for a second. Here's a woman that apparently assaulted, coming like 10 or 20 years later. It's all like it's all like isn't it?
So if you come out 10 or 20 years later, it couldn't have happened. Is that what you're saying, sir?
I mean, why did they have to wait so long?
Why did they have to wait
every
so
woman
long?
Every woman I know.
I'll answer that. I don't think you know a lot of women, but
the same
that's
exact thing.
I don't think you know a lot of women, but let's go back to what you just said, sir. So do you understand that in many situations with women that are the victims of abuse, there's a lot of different reasons why they don't come forward. Some are shame. They're afraid of power. Many women who came forward, some of whom I know personally in the Bill Cosby case, wonderful people, great people. They were scared. They were shamed. They didn't know what to do. For you to say that if a woman comes forward 10 or 20 years later, it couldn't have happened and it's very suspicious. Do you realize how ridiculous that statement is?
I think that, that was the general consensus around.
No, it's not. It's your consensus
around.
No, it's not.
No, around Brett Kavanaugh, about Brett Kavanaugh.
Okay, so first of all, Brett Kavanaugh we're not talking about. Donald Trump was found liable for sexual abuse. Are you aware of that? A jury of his peers found him liable. Does that not matter to you, sir? Then again, you think that he should just defy the Supreme Court, and you're totally okay with that. But it was proven
in a civil court with almost no evidence.
So did you see all the evidence, sir? Who saw all the evidence? You or the jury? Who saw all the evidence, sir? You or the jury?
Yeah, I'm going on because I'm forgetting about civil court because I learned about the difference.
So you learned about civil court, but you're totally okay. You're a civil court scholar, but yet you have no problem with our president of the United States defying the Supreme Court on a 9-0 ruling. That makes a lot of sense. But I'm sure you know a lot about the civil court. That's okay. So let me get this right.
But to go back.
No. I am going back. I am going back to that. But hold on. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Okay, he's not making anybody rich unless it's tech billionaire friends. But hold on a second. You have all the evidence that the jury saw in the E. Jean Carroll case. You've seen all the evidence.
I have not.
You have not. Okay, so what? Okay, so hold on. It does matter. Hold on. You just said there was no evidence. I just asked you if you saw the evidence in the case that the jury saw. You said no. Sir, I'm trying to be respectful to you. You don't know what you're talking about. You haven't seen all the evidence that the jury saw. You're making a gross assumption. You also said that all the women, including 25 of them or more, that have accused Donald Trump of abuse are all stupid. That is a despicable statement. You also said that you would be okay with Donald Trump going into a teenage locker room without permission when they're changing. And then when I tried to personalize it to somebody in your family, then that made you change your mind, which is very bizarre. You've also said that you're okay with Donald Trump defying Supreme Court decisions, in this case 9-0, to facilitate Garcia coming back. So am I supposed to have a serious intellectual conversation with a man who thinks the president can do whatever he wants to, and unless it affects your family, you don't care if it affects everybody else? That's what I'm getting from this conversation, sir. Unless it affects you personally, you don't care about other people. You have proven that in this conversation. All right, sir. Have a nice day. You sound I appreciate your call. It sounded like you just developed a stutter in the middle of the phone call. I hope you get that fixed, sir. Have a nice day. Holy smokes. Wow, that was a piece of work. By the way, I didn't yell at him. I didn't scream at him. But I will say this. That man is a complete MAGA buffoon. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-7283. Holy smokes. Who are we going to next here? Let's go to Shelly. Shelly is next. Hi, Shelly.
Hey, Brian. People like that are sick effing people. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The reason that women don't come out for a long time or ever is because if they go on the stand, they are slut-shamed, okay?
Yeah.
What were you wearing? Were you wearing a lot of makeup? Were you flirting? That's what happens to women when they go on the stand, when they claim sexual assault or rape.
Right, right.
That's why don't.
But that
sometimes ever.
But that was so mesmerizing to me because when he said he was okay with Trump going into teenage locker rooms, and then I tried to personalize it and say, what if it was your niece? And then all of a sudden he changed his answer, goes to show you that they only care about themselves. They don't care about other people.
Right.
And he
what
just,
if
he
it
just
was
proved it.
him?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if someone assaulted him?
I agree.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yep. I agree.
Would he feel comfortable going on the stand and being confronted by the other side?
Do you also notice that he started the conversation by saying, you should give him the benefit of the doubt? And I said, on what? And you notice how he didn't name
what?
He didn't name one thing. He talked about the economy. I shot that down. He talked about tariffs. Put that one down right away. And then he talked about Doge and fraud, and he couldn't name any fraud or anybody that has even been charged, let alone convicted.
I don't know, but Brian, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. And this is off of that topic, but when I heard about President Biden's diagnosis, I said, oh, my God. Other people are like, oh, he was hiding that for a long time. That's why he was Sleepy Joe or Slow Joe. And I'm like,
Shelley,
no, the man was 82 freaking years old.
Shelley, I agree with you. As a woman, I want to ask you this question, then I got to get to the next caller, Shelley, but I want to ask you this.
Okay.
This man who just called in characterized all the women that have come forward that have claimed that Trump abused them. He called them all stupid. What would be your response to that?
I can't say on the radio.
I understand. I understand.
No, they're not all stupid. It's like I said, if they come out, and a lot of them are like depressed at first.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do I do? But then if they do go to court, they're slut-shamed, like I said.
Well, I agree with you, Shelley, and I appreciate your call, and I appreciate your perspective, and that's why I asked you that question. I cannot believe some of the things that this guy said. To his credit, for the most part, he tried whataboutism a few times. I interrupted that, but he answered my questions. I'll give him credit for that, but wow, shocking. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Herb. Herb is next up on PTL. Hello, Herb.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Good.
Listen, I got to sympathize with something that you said earlier, and I agree with you.
Wow, Herb, are you feeling okay today?
And so you had said something about when people get diagnosed with a disease like cancer
Right.
or they die.
Yeah.
Let's wait a while before we start criticizing and coming down on them.
I agree.
There's a grace period at least.
So Herb, can I ask you something? Herb, we obviously agree on that. And I'm glad to hear you say that. So Herb, let me ask you something. Why do you think there's so many MAGA Republicans out there that are doing this? By the way, I'm not talking about people like you or me or, regular everyday people. I'm talking about elected officials. Why do you think so many elected officials like J.D. Vance, our vice president, Donald Trump, our president, Ed Martin, Roger Marshall? I played you a lot of them yesterday and today. Why are they doing it?
I think most of them are coming out and they are sympathizing. However,
no, they're not.
There's a lot of
no, they're not.
Well, okay. I don't want to argue with you.
Herb, I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just telling you that almost every MAGA Republican that's been on TV over the last 24 hours have criticized the Biden family. Maybe in a sentence they said, yeah, I hope he gets better, and then they go into the conspiracy theories. So when you say most, I'm only talking about those that have done interviews over the course of the last 24 hours. Even J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, the president and the vice president, who you voted for that ticket, by the way. J.D. Vance, I played you the audio. Donald Trump, I played the audio, talking about Stage 9, sounding like the imbecile that he is. These are people that you voted for, Herb. And guess what? I'd be criticizing Democrats if they did that. But Herb, you have to admit this to me, okay? When Mitch McConnell froze up, the first person that called Mitch McConnell was Joe Biden. How do we know this? Because Mitch McConnell talked about it. Joe Biden wished him well. He showed empathy. But why is it when Paul Pelosi gets bludgeoned with a hammer, they go into the conspiracy theories? Why is it that when, these other types of people like a Joe Biden get cancer, they go into the conspiracy theories and then they start attacking? Herb, it's wrong.
Yeah, I agree. It's wrong. And that's being the first thing that they do. That is wrong. And like I said, there should be some kind of a grace period. At least when I first heard that Joe Biden had cancer, that hit me. I never voted for the guy, but it still hit me.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
I feel so sorry for him.
Well, I appreciate
Herb. I got to ask you this.
Okay,
Brian.
hold on.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
When Rush Limbaugh, when he died, within 24 hours, you came down on him hard.
Yep.
And
here's why.
Saying you hope he died, and what the hell?
No, I never said that.
You didn't give him
hold on, Herb. I never said I hoped he lost his life. That's a lie. I never said that. There's a difference between saying that and saying I don't feel sorry for him. Now, if you can show me examples of Joe Biden hating on people because of their sexuality, hating on people because of the color of their skin, then I'll correct myself because I don't feel sorrow for bad people. Now, you might not like Joe Biden's policies, and that's totally fine. You have that right. But there is no comparison between Joe Biden, who I have some disagreements with, but I don't think he's a horrible person, and never on the record did he ever call Barack Obama a Negro. By the way, that's what Rush Limbaugh did on his show. Herb, if you don't mind me asking, are you a black man?
You've asked me that about 10
Okay, well, I just want to make sure. Okay, so the answer is yes. I just want to make sure. So, Herb, should you feel bad for somebody who played on their show and called Barack Obama the magic Negro? Is that somebody that we should feel sorrow for?
Well, should we feel sorry for somebody that said
whataboutism.
If you don't vote for me, you're not black?
Okay, so first of all,
well, it's the same.
Okay, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. First, no, it's not. Herb. We're talking about
Herb.
I'm giving you my answer, but hold on. Herb, I need you to listen. We're having a conversation. I need you to listen. When you call somebody Herb, I need you to stop talking now so I could respond. There is no comparison between calling Barack Obama a Negro on a radio show and Joe Biden saying you're not black if you don't vote for me. By the way, Joe Biden apologized the next day. Okay. There is no comparison between mocking someone because of their skin color, which is exactly what Rush Limbaugh did. He also called women whores that want prophylactics. Okay. This is a man who spread bigotry. No, hold on. I'll let you finish, but this is a man who spread bigotry on the air every single day. And you can't compare that to Joe Biden making a statement, you ain't black if you're not voting for me. By the way, he apologized the next day. There is no comparison between the two. Joe Biden is a decent man. He's suffered a lot of loss in his life. He's not this horrible human being. Simply put, Rush Limbaugh was. And I never said that I wanted his life to end. That is also a lie. Do I hope he's burning in hell? Absolutely. But there's a difference between saying that and hoping that somebody's life ends, which I never said. I don't take back anything I've ever said about Rush Limbaugh. I don't like a lot of Republicans in office today, but I'll even tell you something even more. If Donald Trump was diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, I would not go on the air smiling, I wouldn't be gloating, and I wouldn't come up with conspiracy theories. That is the difference between somebody like me and somebody on the far right. Go ahead, Herb.
Okay, Brian. I'm black. So for you to call me a Negro,
I didn't say that. I didn't say that to you. I didn't say that.
I know you didn't. I'm using this as an example. Let's say you call me a Negro. That is not a disgrace to me.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Brian, let me finish. You see, that's the problem. That's why conservatives don't call your show.
Oh, they do actually.
You don't listen to what they have to say.
They do actually, Herb. They call in a lot.
So
go ahead, Herb.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Let me finish. So if someone calls me a Negro, that's not an insult.
I heard you say that already.
There was a time when that was a common reference to black folks.
Herb.
They were called Negroes. So that's not an
Herb, I have a question for you. Context matters. Hold on, Herb. Herb, I will let you, but I want to ask you a question first, Herb. In the context of how he said it, Barack the Magic Negro, is that insulting or is he just doing it to be respectful? Barack the Magic Negro. Is that insulting someone because of the color of their skin or not? Yes or no, Herb? Answer my question. No, don't brine me.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Yes or no?
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
No, it's not insulting. It's more insulting to me to tell me that I'm not black if I don't vote for you. I don't care if you apologize.
Herb, that's ridiculous.
All
right. So I just want to get this right. In your context, just because you're black doesn't mean you're right, Herb. You also voted for Donald Trump.
It's insulting to me because I'm
right. Okay. So let me just get this right. If somebody on it, hold on.
No,
I want to.
Let me finish.
No, Herb, let me just finish, and then it's your turn. Okay, Herb, let me just finish. So according to Herb, on a national show with the most listenership on the planet, in this case it was Rush Limbaugh, who called Barack Obama the Magic Negro on his show, according to Herb, that's not insulting, and he didn't mean it in an insulting way. Herb, I just want to make sure, and I want you to clarify. That's not trying to insult somebody if they're black. Is that what you're saying, Herb?
I didn't say he didn't say it in an insulting way. I'm just saying, to me, that is not insulting. Okay, that's his opinion.
So if it's
that's what he says.
It's just his opinion.
However, Brian, bottom line is that you waited less than 24 hours.
Yep.
It's
no really
matter
hard.
How you felt about Rush Limbaugh.
It's really hard, Herb, when I keep repeating myself over and over and over again. I don't wish well to bad people, okay? I don't wish good feelings for people that caused a lot of other people harm. I don't wish well for people that went on the radio every single day and attacked the LGBT community, attacked the trans community, attacked people who look like you. And I am amazed that you are either you're not aware of it and you're complicit or you're just lying. Rush Limbaugh attacked people that look like you every day, and he called our former president of the United States, who happens to be black, Barack the Magic Negro. And you're telling me that none of that stuff bothered you as much as Joe Biden said, you ain't black if you're not voting for me. Oh, yeah, by the way, he apologized for it the next day. Is that what you're saying, Herb?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
All right, Herb, I appreciate your call, Herb. Have a nice day. I just can't take any more of it, Herb. I just can't. I tried. I just can't. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Calling a black man a Negro from a white man insulting a black man is not insulting to you, and nowhere near as insulting as Joe Biden said, you're not black if you're not voting for me, and then apologizes the next day. Herb, that's absolutely insufferable and ridiculous. It's absurd. It's insane. I appreciate you calling, Herb, but you just embarrassed yourself on this show once again. 702-221-7283. By the way, that's probably why a lot of MAGA people don't call into the show, because they embarrass themselves. Let's go to Vivian. Vivian is next up on PTL. Hi, Vivian. Vivian, are you there? I think we lost Vivian. Let's go to Dave. Dave is calling from California. Hey, Dave, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Brian?
Herb, how you doing? Doing all right. I almost called you Herb there for a second.
Herb comes the Love Bug. Remember Herbie the Love Bug?
I do.
Disney, the car.
I do. I do.
Correct me when you call him a herb.
I do.
It's hilarious. Hey,
I mean,
I know a lot of.
I don't even know
Go ahead.
what to say. Excuse me. I don't even know what to say here.
Herbie the love bug. It's hilarious. So I know a lot of women will back me up on this, and I understand why a lot of women don't come out, because I worked in the corporation for 45 years. The reason why, and a lot of women will back me up, and I'm sure there'll be callers behind me, is because one of them, you can think of many, is because they're afraid that if they come out and then they move forward in a different career, that might haunt them and stop them from not getting another job, and they might be a liability for a lot of companies.
Right.
So they're afraid that if they come out, it's like, oh, that would ruin their reputation. And then if they ever have a meeting with somebody, they have to bring, another body into the conference room to making sure that, that they're not, that one person is not left by themselves, when they do, when they have a conference meeting and whatnot. So, that's the reason why, because they don't want to be a liability. They might be a liability in a lot of companies, and a lot of companies will not hire those type of people because they will become a liability in the company, because if they did it one time in another company, the other company is going to be afraid to hire them because they might be a liability in their current position.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why. So when you think about it, a lot of women are going to call and they're going to say, yep, that's exactly correct. Yep.
You're right. I don't know how to even respond to somebody who voted for Donald Trump, who says they have no problem with the president defying the Supreme Court, or somebody like Herb who calls in, who says they don't have a problem with a white man insulting a black man, calling him a Negro. Like, it's very hard to have a good faith conversation with somebody like that.
Well, I can give you that answer. Have you seen the movie Hairspray?
Yes, I have.
The movie Hairspray. Did you know they used a lot of that word in the movie? That didn't bother anybody who was African American in the audience. And when they said it, if you see the movie Hairspray, just
right.
With
and there's certainly context.
It was mentioned so many times.
Right. There's context into how the word is used. Clearly, Rush Limbaugh was using it to mock Barack Obama, Barack the Magic Negro, and the fact that anybody, including if you're black, anybody, doesn't find that to be beyond the pale offensive. You can attack him on his policies. If you don't think he's a good guy, you can talk about why. But to call him a Negro and mock him, and then to have a Trump supporter say, well, Joe Biden said you ain't black if you're not voting for me, and that's 10 times worse.
Right.
It's so absurd.
Sure. And remember what they did? They made a cartoon of a banana. Remember the cartoon with the banana?
Yeah.
Back in the days, they did that banana cartoon with looks like a gorilla kind of thing. And I remember that. They kind of mocked him for that. Yep. Remember that? Yep. That old thing? That was that was like it's really racial, low of the low.
You're right. It's racial. It's disgusting. And you're absolutely right, my friend. And I do appreciate your call. I mean, think about that, ladies and gentlemen. The first hour, we had one guy, a MAGA supporter, who calls in and says he's okay with Donald Trump defying the Supreme Court. We have another guy who calls in who says didn't have a problem with Rush Limbaugh calling Barack Obama the Magic Negro. I mean, how can you have a good faith conversation with people like that? You can't. I certainly try, but it's very difficult to do so. 702-221-7283. Who are we going to next? Okay, we'll go back to Vivian. Hi, Vivian.
Hi, Brian. How are you doing today?
Hey, good. What's on your mind?
Yeah, you're having a fun day, I see.
Yeah.
Your favorite type of caller.
Yep.
I'm so tired of everybody paying attention to that carrot that keeps dangling in front of us, telling us to talk about this and talk about that, when we should really be talking about this bill they're trying to pass in reference to the big, beautiful bill, because it makes no sense to me that anybody would even vote for that, and why nobody's not screaming and hollering. They're doing it under the cover of night. They just taking advantage of the
adds
position.
$5 or $6 trillion to the deficit in 1 to 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Let me repeat. They
8
said
million
there's
people cut from Medicaid.
Correct. $5 to $6 trillion adds to the deficit. Republicans do not know how to govern.
And that's what I'm saying. Why aren't more people talking about this? No.
Well, I think I'm talking about it. People like you are talking about it, but sadly, unfortunately, a lot of MAGA Republicans are keeping it close to the vest. I will say this. Kevin O'Leary's been outspoken about this bill that he says is horrible. But Vivian, there needs to be more people on the
not
right.
enough.
But if you do talk,
It's not enough.
But if you do speak out against it, and very few, but some Republicans have, Donald Trump attacks them for telling the truth. That's the MAGA Republican Party, Vivian, and I really do appreciate your call. Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Ray. Ray is next up on PTL. Hey, Ray, what's going on?
Brian, I talked about prostate cancer yesterday.
Yes, sir.
I've been listening to some of these buttheads talking about prostate cancer. I had prostate cancer. I had no symptoms before. It was picked up. I had a biopsy, and it got handled. So I don't know what to call them. Keep it. I really don't know.
I don't know either. All I can tell you is that there are people that are so gone in this country and they're so lost, you can't have a rational conversation with them. And I've been very clear my entire life, on the air and off the air. If you're a really awful human being, like really awful, I'm not going to feel sorry for you. There is a difference between not feeling sorry for somebody and coming up with conspiracy theories and lies about somebody. Rush Limbaugh was a very, very bad human being. He spread bigotry. He spread hatred. Joe Biden, people can say what they want about him. He's not a horrible man. He's a loving father. He's a loving husband. If you're a decent family man, and I disagree with your politics, I wish you no ill will. If you're a bad human being who abuses women, for example, or in this case, mock minorities and women on a daily basis, which is Rush Limbaugh's entire career. He made a living of doing that. I don't feel sorry for him. I didn't wish him to, for his life to be over. I didn't wish for that, but I certainly didn't feel sorry for it. And I expressed that on the air. And for him to make that same claim and compare Rush Limbaugh to Joe Biden is idiotic and despicable. And by the way,
can I say something else,
I'm almost done. Yes, sir. But I'm a radio host too. Did you see any left-wingers that were in office, or perhaps the president of the United States, Joe Biden, when Rush Limbaugh passed away? Was he saying despicable things about Rush Limbaugh? No, he wasn't. But guess what? Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are. He doesn't understand that either. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I'm an 88-year-old retired union pipe fitter. If any of you guys and MAGA people want to talk about prostate cancer, I don't care. I'd love for you to come and we'll talk face to face. Do not hide behind a keyboard.
Well, a lot of them are cowards, and they do it on my show.
That's all they are.
They do it on my show every day. Many of them are too afraid to call in because they don't want to be embarrassed. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next up on PTL. Hey, Paul, what's going on, man? Thanks for calling in.
How you doing, Brian?
Good, Paul. What's on your mind?
Oh, I've called you a few times. I'm older guy in my 70s. The one ironic thing that I always feel about people who support the gentleman in office right now is that they always go ahead and perceive him as something different than what he really is. I went ahead and saw a tweet from that doctor that was his doctor when he was in his first term, and talked about that Biden's doctor wasn't paying too much attention. If not, he would have caught the cancer earlier.
Well, here's why. Okay, so let's talk about this. So first of all, I want to be clear. I am not a medical professional, and I would assume you're not either, correct?
No.
Okay,
no.
I think that's very important to start. Number two, I have done some research on this kind of cancer, and regular tests that he was getting, 15 to 25% of people who get these tests and have this form of cancer, it goes under the radar. So for anybody to make an right, so you know that too. So for anybody to, and I'm not saying you are, I'm saying for anybody out there to make an assumption that somehow they knew about this because it could have been detected way earlier, has no idea what they're talking about. Do the research on this type of cancer, all the tests, and there's still up to a 25% chance that it would go under the radar. So, I mean, all you have to do is do a little bit of research to see that.
My point about this particular doctor, okay, is the fact that here's a doctor who is going ahead and saying another doctor screwed up when he's the doctor that went ahead and said, "Oh, if this idiot would change his diet, he could live in 200 years." Here's a doctor that comes out and puts that this guy is 235 pounds, 6'3".
Well,
and you put him next to anybody who is 235 pounds and 6'3", and this guy's a blimp.
Well, first of all, they also
that-
said that he was 239 pounds because it was 1 pound under obesity. We know he's not 239 pounds. That was also a lie.
Exactly.
It's complete
that's my
BS.
point. If you can come out and lie just to go ahead and not want to hurt somebody's feelings, then there's a problem there. And the problem is with you. I go ahead and I look at this idiot that we have in the Oval Office, and I don't blame him. I blame the people that follow him. Because they're the ones that have to go ahead at the end of the day, their children, their grandchildren, they have to explain to them why they do not want them to lie, but they will lie for this guy.
Well, it's something that, and I agree with you. Thank you for the call, sir. There's a lot of people that have sold their souls to Donald Trump. Let's be very clear on that. Marco Rubio being one of them, but I agree with everything you said, and I do appreciate your call. 702-221-7283. MAGA, welcome to call in. A lot of them are not capable of maybe picking up their Obama phone and doing so, but you're welcome to. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up on PTL. What's up, Terry?
Hey, Brian. Good afternoon.
Hey.
Hope you're doing well. Just a little update on the grocery costs. Mr. Trump seems to think that they're going down. They're not. I was in a grocery store today. I swear to God, I had to go back and look at it twice. The watermelon in the store was $10.99.
That makes me sad because I love watermelon.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and by the way, gas was $3.10 last week. Now it's $3.18.
Yeah,
So
it's
I just
interesting.
wanna-
He said he would lower the gas prices on day one. He said he would lower inflation on day one. Doesn't seem to be working out that way. I'm shocked.
Yeah, so the caller you had earlier about the economic piece of the whole thing, of the conversation you were having, you're absolutely right, Brian. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. Do you think there are a lot of people, even where I live or where the other people live, that could pay $10.99 for a watermelon?
No. And here's what Donald Trump said about food stamps, my dear. He was asked today, and I played this audio, what do you say to Americans when you're cutting, food stamps? And his response was, well, it's going to lower the prices for everybody because in the long run, food's going to be cheaper. First of all, he's so stupid. Food stamps help people get some food for free. People that can't even afford to pay their rent in some situations, and they're in dire straits, and it helps put food on the table. Well, in the long run, it's better for everybody. He doesn't even know how food stamps works. He's so stupid.
Oh, absolutely. And also, he's talking about Elon Musk saying, well, there's going to be a little pain for a little while. Well, what's a little while?
Yeah.
He's a billionaire. What does he know?
Sir, I'll tell you what that means. Certainly over the course of the next 3.5 years. That's for sure. That's the little while, too. It's way too long. Thank you for the call, my dear. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mark, who's calling from Las Vegas. What's up, Mark?
Hi, Brian. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Hey, okay. Really quick, you're doing a public service. When you get these MAGA morons on, they're exposing themselves, and the listening audience is nodding along with you. So, whether you convince them or not, they're convincing many other people who might even be on the fence that I don't want to have anything to do with these people. So it's a public service in that sense, okay? Also, one other thing, in terms of gas prices, I think they're really talking about how much gas is produced by the Mango Mussolini after eating all of those Big Macs.
Donald Trump does enjoy fast food, doesn't he, Mark? He does.
Yeah, I don't think we enjoy what happens after with them, though.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, do you think it's just, speaking of Big Macs, do you think it's just a conspiracy theory if I say that they marked his weight at 239 pounds and 240 pounds is considered obese?
I think it was 239.999 pounds.
I think you're right about that. I tend to agree with you. Maybe he lost a little bit of weight spending time with Kimberly Guilfoyle. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe Caroline Leavitt. I don't know.
Oh God, I mean now I'm going to have that image in my head for the next couple.
It was just working out. That's all.
Thanks
It was just a workout. That's what I was referring to. I don't know what you're thinking about, Mark. I was just talking about a workout session. That's all.
Yeah, I'm sure you were, buddy.
Thanks, Mark. Good to hear from you, my friend. I appreciate you.
All right, take care.
All right. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Just to reset things for you a little bit here. Let's do a little bit of a reset. A lot to get to. We've had a couple very interesting MAGA supporters call into the show today. One MAGA supporter said that he's totally okay with Donald Trump defying the Supreme Court. Another Trump supporter, in talking about Rush Limbaugh and his cancer, and I mentioned why I don't feel sorry for Rush Limbaugh, and he called Barack Obama the magic Negro live on his radio show, and a black man who voted for Donald Trump called into the show and says he's not insulted by that. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And by the way, very disingenuous too. I don't believe him. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Marcia. Marcia's next up on PTL. What's up, Marcia?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
I've spoken with you once before. I grew up in Vegas. I live in New Jersey.
Nice.
But I can't. I'm so incensed by the comment about Joe Biden having cancer. And this man, in my opinion, did an eloquent job as president, passed more bills and did more things than this shithead is going to do. And we've lost our decency. We've lost our humanity.
We have. Luckily, all of us haven't. But
no,
I agree with you in that I think people have sold their souls to the orange man. And I'm amazed at how many people in this country have no moral compass. Forget about uneducated and ill-informed. That goes without saying.
Right. Yeah.
You can be uneducated and ill-informed and still have some morals, right? How
And have
could you
compassion and
be
have
okay with a man who goes into teenage locker rooms and brags about it sexually? How could you be okay with the way he's treated women his entire life? And a man who dodged the military multiple times, who craps on POWs. We've lost our moral compass in this country. And listen, luckily it's not half the country. It's certainly much less than that, but it's pretty sick.
Yep. Totally.
I appreciate
Totally.
hearing from you, my dear. Hang in there. We're going to get through this together, and I do
All right.
appreciate your phone call. Thank you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Brett. Brett is next up on PTL. What's up, Brett?
Hey, what's up, Ryan? I'm just sitting here cooking dinner for the family, and I was thinking about, sometimes I get upset because you spend a little too much time with these dopey MAGA callers, and, I'm thinking, like, I get it, it's good for ratings, and you need to have these people on to get a different perspective. Everybody doesn't just want to hear from, members of their own team all day, and I'm thinking, like, why doesn't he get, like some more intelligent, smarter MAGA idiots
There's not many out
that
there.
can, I know, and that's the whole point. Like, I'm thinking, like, nobody can defend any of this at this point. Like, it's just beyond ridiculous. I fight with my own friends on a daily basis, and they try to justify things, and they just come with the lies and the nonsense and things that they've heard on Fox News, and it's completely ridiculous and depressing. And
It is. It is ridiculous. It is depressing. But I'm going to tell you something more important than ratings is I'm always going to tell the truth, and I'm always going to expose these people for who they are. They can call into the show anytime. They have an open invite. When somebody starts a call and says, you get too hot-headed, I'll be calm with you so long as you answer my questions, even though they might be ridiculous answers.
Oh, no disrespect intended, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm
I
a
get what
big
you're
fan,
saying.
And
Listen, I'm the kind of guy, my
yeah.
friend, that I would rather have all due respect to you. You seem like a really nice guy. But I would rather have a debate with somebody. I would rather have a conversation with somebody that I disagree with. That's why I go on the Piers Morgan show. These Jack Posobiec's of the world and others, I'll go toe-to-toe with them on any topic, any day of the week. They think they're smarter, but they use the same right-wing talking points, and I just spew facts in their face. I mean, a good example of that is, you're talking about MAGA people that might be more well-spoken. Jack Posobiec I did Pierce last week, and Posobiec was talking about censorship, and this is the guy that blocked me on social media. So I exposed him on the show. I said, I don't want to hear you talking about censorship. You censor people on your own platform. And, he didn't know what to say, and then he called me a liberal, and I had to correct him on that as well. They don't have any real arguments.
No. But, that's all I got.
All right.
Great job with the show,
What are you
Brian,
cooking
and
for dinner?
I hope
What's the most important?
What am I making? I'm a vegetarian, and I just cooked some Brussels sprouts and quinoa. And
can I just tell you something? Because I get personal. I've had a rough week, okay? And I talked about it a little bit. Did I talk about it yesterday? I think I did at the end of the show. I talk about my personal life on this show a lot. And I'm lucky because I have so many wonderful friends in my life. And I have one friend who's literally has been cooking me dinner every night. Every night cooking me dinner. Awesome. I got steaks tonight, by the way, that I'm getting. He's such a great friend. He knows who he is.
Excellent.
And I have a female friend who came over my house last night who I've known for years. And we just talked for like hours. And it was just so heartwarming. And I got to say that. I know I'm going on a little because you mentioned that to me because you reminded me about your cooking dinner for your family, which is great.
And people will think like their first thought is like, oh, he's a liberal soy boy.
Right.
My father and my father's father both died of heart attacks under 50. So I'm a chef by trade, and I'm just looking to not die young because I have a family to take care of. And yeah. So
well, don't do that, my friend. You sound like a great guy. I'll let you get back to the cooking and your dinner. And I appreciate you. Listen, as I say every day on this show, we'll get back to the calls here in a minute. But as I say every day on this show, I appreciate all of you very much. We're all a family here together, the PTL family, as I like to call it. And I'm very fortunate, too, that, I have a personal life as well. And I have some really good friends in my life. I'll leave it at that. I have some really, really solid, good friends. I'm just like everybody else. I go through stuff in life just like everybody else, whether it be relationships or you have it. And it's so important for your mental health to have really good friends that not only are willing to give you advice, but are willing to listen, an ear to listen to vent to. And having that is really important. And I feel that way with all of you, but I also give you that same gift. I hope you all know that. I give you an opportunity. It might only be a minute or two, but I give you all the opportunity to call into the show and share your grievances and vent. Now, it might not be about an ex-fiance or a relationship that you're in. It might be about politics, but these are real issues that we talk about. And it's important to have these conversations. And that's why I give you all the platform to do so. I hope you all know that. 702-221-7283. is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. We are going to Rob. Rob is next on PTL. What's up, Rob?
Hi. Listen, I just now ran into your radio station. I'm a first-time caller, first-time listener. And I guess I would be considered a MAGA guy because I voted for Trump.
Okay.
But I don't understand. Like, I'm listening to you guys, and I'm listening to your callers continually just criticize.
Okay, well, let's talk about me.
And smash
Rob,
like we're a bunch of retards. Even you criticizing everyone like they're a bunch of retards.
Okay, so first of all, don't use that word on this show because I don't use it, and it's not a good word that we would use on this show. So that's how I would start. I never
What word is that?
Hold on, Rob. Hold on. Let's have a conversation, but please don't use that word.
I don't understand. What word did I say that was that line?
Okay, I'm not going to repeat it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I don't know what to tell you. So let's focus on me, not the callers. Okay, Rob? Name me something that I have said on this show specifically about Donald Trump that you disagree with, and then let's go from there. Let's try not to generalize, Rob, if that's fair. Tell me something I've done.
I'm not generalizing. I understand you're trying to fast talk this.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Rob,
stop playing the victim.
Let's have Rob. Stupid.
Rob.
You said the guy doesn't understand Medicaid.
Rob, I need you to slow down.
I'm listening to you, bro.
Rob, you're not listening. You're talking over me. I'm trying to be very calm and have a conversation with you. So, give me a specific statement that I said on the show just today about Donald Trump that you disagree with, and then we can go from there and have a conversation. Just give me one thing. What did I say?
You said he doesn't understand food stamps or Medicaid.
Okay, so here's why I said that, and now we can have a conversation about that, and you can tell me why you disagree. So Donald Trump is going to be cutting benefits on food stamps for millions of Americans in this country. Many of those people are suffering. What I mean by suffering is they can't even afford to go to the grocery and spend $20 on, bread and butter or whatever they buy. And when he cuts that, they are going to be suffering more. What part of that does not make sense to you when he says, well, their prices are going to be lower? He said the prices are going to be lower. The prices are not lower now. Even if that was true 6 months from now, a year from now, when he cuts benefits on food stamps, they're going to be losing the ability to get food for free because they are in desperate need. What do you disagree with about that?
I disagree with the fact you act like our president is a moron.
Hold on. I want you to be specific. Let's stop.
Let me speak. Don't overtalk me.
Then respond to what I just said.
Answer the question.
Then respond to what I just said.
You just start talking.
Then respond to what I just said. It has nothing to do with me insulting the president. You talked about food stamps. Respond to what I just said.
You just said the president doesn't understand food stamp and how people are hurting.
He doesn't.
How do you not figure this man, who's a billionaire, doesn't understand what? I mean, he employs people.
Okay,
he pays people. He knows what this is all about.
I'm trying.
If you think for somehow
I'm trying to explain it to you, Rob.
You're not.
Okay, so answer this then. Cutting food stamps, how will that help those people? Help me understand, since clearly I don't understand. Help me understand. How is right now cutting food stamps to millions of Americans who don't have any money to buy groceries, right now at this moment, explain to me how that's helpful.
Well, obviously, that's not going to help you.
Okay, well, that's my point. I'm glad we agree.
We're not
Rob,
doing a dash. We're doing a race. This is a marathon.
Rob, that was my point. Okay, my point was there's a lot of people in this country right now that are suffering. He made it sound like it's beneficial to those people today. I'm assuming you didn't hear the comments he made this morning, okay? And that has nothing to do with me calling him a name. But here's why I do call him names, Rob, since now you've agreed with me and made my point about food stamps, which he didn't make this morning. The reason why I call him names is because this is the guy who's insulted POWs, Gold Star families, women on looks. Do you think it's appropriate for a man? Let's start here. Do you think it's appropriate? What would you call somebody who attacks somebody's military service who was a POW, doesn't respect them because they were captured? What would you say about that? Would you call that person a moron, or do you think that's taking it too far?
Are you talking about John McCain?
I'm just asking you a very generic question, and it is irrelevant to who it is.
It's not a generic question.
Oh, it's not.
If you randomly say that anyone that's a POW is garbage because they got
so it's
caught,
okay if you don't like somebody.
But
so
that was
it's
a
okay.
Personal issue between those two.
Okay, so you're saying you're defending it because he doesn't like John McCain. It's okay to say I don't respect him because he was captured. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Right. That's because that was a person. That's no different.
So if you have a person, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Let me explain.
Calm this idiot down. No, you're not going to explain. I'm going to explain to you, you dumbass. Okay, now I'm going to explain it to you. Just because you don't like somebody doesn't give you the right to attack their military service, and you're curling yourself into a pretzel, making yourself sound like the imbecile that you are. You are defending Donald Trump for attacking John McCain because he was captured. If you don't like Donald Trump because of policy or any other thing, fine. Let me tell you the difference, okay, dodo head? Okay, you MAGA inbred? Yeah, that's right, I'm going there. I don't like Ron DeSantis. I don't like J.D. Vance, but never would I crap on their military service. What part of that do you not understand, huh? What part of that do you not get?
You are a moron.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm the moron. Have a nice day and go fly a kite, you MAGA inbred fool, you. I proved you wrong when it came to food stamps. You admitted to me that cutting food stamps to millions of Americans and making cuts to food stamps will be bad. You admitted that, and you just proved yourself to be a complete clown. And now you're defending Donald Trump attacking the military service of John McCain because he doesn't like John McCain, or you didn't like him as a politician. So you're defending going after somebody and crapping on their military service, which makes you a moron and an a-hole. Have a nice day. Another MAGA moron. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Julie. Julie next on PTL. What's up, Julie?
Sorry, I had to say that because it came right before me. My brain just went blank. I don't know if you guys received my emails that I sent y'all, but there's been a lot of stuff happening in Nashville.
I'll have to take a look at that. What's happening in Nashville? By the way, I got a nickname for Rob. Somebody on the chat said Rob the Knob. I kind of like that. Rob the Knob just called into the show. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, that was Rob the Knob who just called in, who is defending attacking someone's military service and not saying you don't respect somebody because they were captured. And Rob's totally okay with that because, well, I don't like John McCain, or Trump had personal issues with John McCain. And then I make a statement to this guy, and he's saying, well, why are you saying Donald Trump doesn't understand food stamps? Food stamps give people the ability not to pay out of pocket. If you're cutting food stamps, it means people won't be able to afford groceries. And then when you say, well, it's the long game. Okay, well, that doesn't help people right now. But this moron, Rob the Knob doesn't seem to understand that.
What's happening in Nashville right now is that there's ICE raids, there's people freaking drive-by shootings. Like, what's Trump going to do about these people that are doing drive-by shootings?
Well,
Those
listen,
are the criminals.
that's, you know, I will say this, that's happening throughout the country, and it's a big problem, violent crime that we have. And Donald Trump is the guy that did not lower crime. By the way, if you look at the actual stats put out by the FBI, crime did lower under Joe Biden, violent crime particularly. I appreciate your call, my dear, and I'm going to look at those emails, and I am going to try to look into that for you. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next up on PTL. Hey, Paul, what's going on?
Wow. Rob is completely and emotionally, mentally unhinged.
I think you're right, Paul.
We talked about this a couple months ago. When do you and I mean, let me take a step back. Cory Booker voted for Jared Kushner's dad to be the ambassador to France. This guy is a convicted felon who was witness tampering, money laundering, and he got pardoned by Trump, and then Cory Booker votes for him. I mean, and then like 10 Democrats voted for the crypto bill, and now Pelosi and Nadler want to vote against the impeachment. Neither party right now, Brian, as much as you and I can sit here and talk about it, neither one of them are doing anything for us right now. When do we decide that we're angry enough to go on a strike and just shut it all down until change is done? Do you think we're to that point yet, or do we still need to feel a little more hurt?
I think that's a really good question. I think we're at the point, and Paul, you might not like my answer, but I mean, I think we're at the point where the focus has to be on the midterms. You know, Trump's not getting out of office. His cronies aren't getting out of office. We can say 86-47 until the cows come home, but Trump's going to be there. So we have to focus on the midterms and getting MAGA Republicans out of office. That's where we're at right now.
But do you think that this country can handle this kind of assault on the democracy for another year and a half?
I think it's going to take decades for this country to recover.
Yeah.
I don't care who wins in 2028. We could have the best, left-leaning president and great policy. It's going to take decades for the country to recover from the damage that Donald Trump is doing to this country. That's the best way I can answer that, Paul.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same way, but that's how I feel.
I think with people getting snatched off the streets, I have lots of friends with ICE raids. I have people that are Hispanic that are nervous to go outside. I have people that get my haircut that are green card holders. Everybody that I know that was not born here is absolutely terrified to go outside right now. And that is not a safe way to live a country.
Yeah.
And I think the ultimate goal of this orange man is to declare martial law so he can be a god king. That's what I think he wants to do. He wants civil unrest by releasing somebody like Derek Chauvin, or at least pardoning him.
He wants chaos. He wants to make sure he takes care of his tech billionaire friends. He is a mentally disturbed and mentally ill person, also happens to be a horrific human being. And every single day he proves it to us, yet there are still millions of people in this country that still support him. And I have had it with them.
Let me ask one last question, because I cannot understand why Cory Booker would go up there for 60 hours and everybody cheers him on and goes, somebody's fighting for us. And then he votes for Charles Kushner, who was pardoned by Donald Trump for intimidating witnesses. Why in the hell would he do something like that?
Well, for the same reason why Donald Trump defies the Supreme Court, for the same reason why Donald Trump personally goes after family members of judges who he disagrees with, for the same reason why he's gone after POWs and Gold Star families and women. He's a despicable person. He's probably the most insecure person on the planet, and it's going to continue.
I mean, why would Cory Booker do that after what he did? Why would
and by the way, though, somebody on social media just said 85 million people support him. Obviously, that's somebody who's very uneducated. Donald Trump has the lowest poll numbers in 70 years. Those are Republicans and Democrats, many of whom voted for Donald Trump. His approval ratings are below 40%. So for anybody out there that says 85 million people support him, no, they don't. The polls show the complete opposite, the lowest poll numbers, approval ratings in 70 years. So again, that's somebody who has no idea what they're talking about. Thanks for the call, Paul. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go quickly to Paul out of Michigan. What's up? Or Pat, I'm sorry. Pat, what's going on?
Hi, Brian. I just want to say, Rob, the president is a moron. You don't like people calling him names, yet his signature act is to call everyone who questions him names.
It's such a good point that you just brought up. Donald Trump literally has nicknames for everybody that he disagrees with, but Rob has a problem with me calling Donald Trump a moron. I mean, it's it's insane.
Did you happen to hear the speech that 47 gave when he was visiting his terrorist friends who gifted him that hideous monstrosity
Oh, yes,
of a
I
plane?
did. Yes, I did. And this is all about business for him. It's all about money. That's all it is.
But that when he was talking to them, I watched a speech today. He was so incoherent. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, but they want to talk about Joe Biden. They want to talk about Joe Biden. He was incompetent. He was this. First of all, he's no longer the president. And second of all, the bottom line here is Donald Trump is the guy that said that he defeated Barack Obama in the election. So I appreciate your call, my dear. I really do. So for those of you that are new to the show, maybe this is your first time calling in. This is your first time listening. We do this Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My YouTube channel, I just gained 10,000 subscribers in like a week. I've just passed 100,000 subscribers. It's one of the fastest growing shows around, and I have all of you to thank for that. We're also on TikTok. We're also on Twitch. The YouTube page is at PTL Radio Show. But if you really want to get involved and support the show, the best thing to do is to go to my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. So this is an independently owned radio show, right? Independent media. Nobody tells me what to do. Nobody tells me what to say. And because of that, I rely on the good people like you. So what you can do is you could go to my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. You can make donations on there. You'll see a button, donate. It takes like 2 minutes of your time, whatever you can afford, $5, $10, $20, whatever you can do. Obviously, if in the YouTube super chat, on TikTok, gifts we accept as well, but we certainly appreciate your support. And one of my favorite guests is coming on the show tomorrow. We love the guys at Midas Touch, and Ron Filipkowski is going to be joining us tomorrow, and he's one of the best in the business. And there's a reason why Midas Touch is so good at what they do, and they have such a large following, is because they're great. So Ron's going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. We had Ed Krassenstein on the show today because his door was knocked on by Secret Service because he said 8647. Absolutely ridiculous. If you missed it, go onto my YouTube page, and we're going to be reposting that interview and everything else. Oh, yeah, we'll also be making the 3 MAGA people who embarrassed themselves, who called into the show yesterday. We're going to make them famous on YouTube as well. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I appreciate you guys. Love all of you. 8647. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you could be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert?
I'm coming. Hold on.
Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas
We're
Ice
good.
Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the